Hello my friends, it is waffle time, but I'm first going to pick some oranges off of this tree, and instead of a cup of tea today I'm going to have some fresh orange juice as I waffle. So maybe you want to get yourself a drink or a cuppa, because who knows how long it will go on. That is just 3 oranges. That's instead of me PG tips, although I'll probably have a cup of tea as well. Let's go chat. Hello, do you like my cushion? Well, it's not my cushion, but it's the cushion I'm sitting on. Right, did you get your drink? I drank my orange juice already because it was so nice. So I have water. So, whoops, water that I've just splashed everywhere. Right, so in my last video, this is like a number 2. This is like a number 2. No, I'm not doing a number 2. This is the second part, or, oh God, oh, here we go. Right, this is the number 2 video, I can say that, of follow on, that's what it is. This is a follow on from the last video. So I've been vlogging. I mentioned a couple of videos back that it was my anniversary of 2 years of vlogging my move into Portugal. So, and I thought I'd do some reflecting and going back to my, going back to the start of the journey. So now, in my last video, I thought I had covered why I chose Portugal, but then several people in the comments said, oh yeah, we want to hear more, because I asked people to comment if they wanted to hear more of my waffling on. I'm really sorry, I can only be how I am, and my mind moves faster than my mouth, so I just find these talking ones very difficult. But anyway, and these Invisaligns don't help, I can't even talk properly. Anyway, so yeah, so I asked people to comment if they wanted to hear more, and people did. But several people said, yes, please could you tell us why you chose Portugal? Now, I thought I'd done that in that last video, but clearly I didn't. I hadn't made myself clear. So I won't go back. But like I did mention in that video, Portugal kind of chose me and it kept popping up. So I won't go, oh, hello, Foster. I won't go back into that, but I will go on to say why, once Portugal started popping up, the reasons why it was suitable. So, 1 second, sorry about that. I had a really dry mouth and dry lips, so I just had to go and get some chapsticks. That's Foster, by the way, the cat that I'm looking after. He's absolutely gorgeous. He's lovely. Yeah, so why Portugal was suitable once the universe kept bringing Portugal to me. One was where it is. My family are in the UK, so I wanted somewhere that is easy for me to get back to and for them to come to me. And I also didn't want to be very landlocked. I didn't want to have to rely on planes and airlines, so there's an option to drive. I mean, like, my daughter's got 2 big dogs, and if she wants to come over, she'll want to drive and bring her 2 Muttleys with her. So yeah, she can't just jump on a plane with 2 big dogs. So that's that reason, access and location. Another reason is, you may have heard me mention once or twice before that I'm a very outdoor person. So it was I wanted an outdoor lifestyle. Well, there's several things I wanted from my lifestyle. One of them was to be outdoors much more, and I felt that Portugal was the country that could give me that. Outdoors in terms of just living, so like cooking outdoors, sitting outdoors, just being outdoors as much as possible, as well as leisure activities outdoors. I get my fun from walking, being out in nature, being I love swimming, in a pool or wild. So it was lifestyle, outdoor lifestyle. So another reason is a simpler life. And I'm not a consumer type kind of person. I don't like fancy things. I don't like fancy restaurants. I don't like fancy clothes. I'm a awkward person. Times I've been bought jewellery and I just think, no, I don't want fancy jewellery. A friend of mine is, good friend of mine is from Senegal, West Africa, and every time he goes, I ask him to bring me back this handmade jewellery that they make, which is just made of strings and made with string, shell and beads by people on the roadside. And I always get him to bring me back a load because they're always breaking, unfortunately. But I really love that. I like earthy type of things, and I do feel there's you can live that simpler kind of life in Portugal and growing your own food, being more self-sufficient. I mentioned the book back in the last video. Oh, and by the way, I didn't just read that book during the restrictions and suddenly think, yeah, this is what I want. I've always been like that. And this is another topic about how I've always been like that, but it's kind of like suppressed. And anyway, we'll go into that. There's another topic, but I don't know if those of you in the UK, if you remember back in the UK in the 70s, 80s, there was 70s, yeah, a programme called The Good Life, and it was this couple, two couples in suburbia that were neighbours, and one had their beautiful, you know, keep up with the Joneses type of garden, beautiful trimmed rose bushes and stuff, and the other had like pigs and chickens or whatever in the back garden in their little semi-detached house, growing their own food, always in their dungarees and covered in mud. And I always wanted to be like that couple when I grow up in The Good Life, the ones that had their little animals in the garden and growing their own food. So that really is me. Yeah, and in Portugal, even if you don't want to grow your own food and have pigs and chickens in the back garden, you can still be exposed to and take part in that lifestyle, because there will always be a neighbour, a friend, someone in your street, village that gives you or sells you homemade produce. There's always people leaving on your doorstep fruits from their garden, oranges, eggs. Yeah, there's always someone. Like nearly every Airbnb I've stayed in, I've been left with, you know, olive oil, eggs, beautiful, gorgeous home produce from the garden. Even when I stayed in an apartment in a city, I still was left olive oil, eggs, what was it, cabbage? Anyway, some kind of vegetables from the garden. And it was, the Airbnb host said, oh, it's from her parents' farm. So even if you don't want to do the whole self-sufficiency, grow your own stuff yourself, in Portugal, everybody does. I mean, there's food grown in, I've seen food being grown on the motorway verges. Not that it's probably the best place to grow food, but any plot of land in those big China stores. I've seen food being grown in the small amount of earth around the big, you know, big store, everywhere and anywhere. So I love that. So Portugal suits me for that. So yeah, I think I've probably missed stuff, but I think that's kind of like 3 of the main reasons for Portugal. Once it just kept coming up from who knows where, it just kept coming up why Portugal was suitable. Right, the other thing what I wanted to talk about now, concentrate, Louise. I need to concentrate because I find, right, so one of the things I said in the last video is maybe you're wondering why 2 years later I am where I am. Where's the house and the small holding or whatever you came to Portugal to do? So when people would ask me, have you found somewhere to live yet? Or have you decided where you want to live? My answer was always no, because I haven't been looking. I know I've been going around and experiencing different areas to see what I like. But I haven't been, you know, looking at the estate agent listings and looking for somewhere, because when I came here, so there was two things. One, I was very quickly, and some of you would have heard me go on about the cold and the damp, and anyone who knows me and knows how I complained my first winter here. So many of us before we come here realise that Portuguese houses do not have heating, and that they can be a little cold and damp, and we know this, and I knew this, and I made sure my first Airbnb had heating, and the first accommodations I chose that they had heating. However, this is my third winter here. My first winter here, I have never been so cold in my entire life. Even as children, many people when I was younger didn't have central heating. We had central heating, but a bit like now in the UK, we could not afford to have it on all the time. And I remember lying in bed, and you do that thing with your mouth where you see how cold it is because of the almost like puffs of smoke you could make, the condensation with the air, you know, the warm air hitting the whole cold air. I remember doing that, being under the duvets. We was lucky, we had duvets, which back then were called continental quilts, but we had them because my mum's German and she brought them over from Germany. So at least we had great big fluffy feather duvets, or continental quilts as they was called back then, and you'd poke your head out and you just see how cold it was by, you know, breathing into the air. Yes, I don't even think, yeah, that's kind of like what we was going back to. I mean, we come to Portugal for a more simpler life and maybe going a little bit back in time, but boy, did that take me back in time. And I don't like tiled floors, I never have. Whenever I do a renovation back in the UK, I only have, in the UK, you only have tiles in the kitchen and the bathroom. And for me, they have to have underfloor heating. And I just, it's not even the cold. It's not the cold. When you've got tiles on the floor and tiles on the floor is one thing, but tiles on the wall as well is taking it to a different level. I mean, obviously the house I'm in now is, you know, it's lovely and modern. So it's beautiful in terms of there aren't tiles everywhere. Oh God, I'm just going all over the place here. Anyway, just cut it short, woman. Basically, right, let me try and get my thoughts together. Basically, I cannot live in a, I do not want to live in a block built square with tiles on the floor, tiles on the wall. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. It's not even about the cold. Those hard surfaces give off a different vibration. A shiny, hard surface is not natural. And it gives off a different vibration, and I can't cope with that vibration that they give off. So I would sometimes have a look at the Idealista and all the other sites, and I just lose the will to live looking through, because the properties, anyway, so this is why I thought, I'm not going to get the kind of property I would like unless I couldn't live in a modern house like this. It's beautiful, but I couldn't live in a one of these modern buildings. I can't live in a stone block brick house with no insulation and tiles everywhere. some of the, I mean, I've stayed in a lot of houses. Some of the most comfortable houses I've lived in have been stone houses, which would be okay, but I'm 6'1" and I'm not living somewhere where I have to duck to get in the front door. So I was just a little bit stumped with, I didn't come here to do a renovation. I don't speak the language. I'm a single woman, and one thing about this country is they do still have the very traditional roles with men and women, and it can be a struggle sometimes when it comes to things like building works. Yeah, and to be honest, it's just not what I came here to do. So I thought so that basically just stumped me a little bit. And I have to think about, the type of house I can live in. Because there are many compromises you have to make. You can't just put yourself in a new country and expect everything to be how it was. What's the point in coming to a new country and starting a new life? But there are just one or two things, I suppose everybody's got their things where you may or may not want to compromise. And for me, home is absolutely everything, and that is not a compromise I could make. So that's one reason. The other thing is, I mentioned in the last video about doing and being and living in a way that is in a line with who you really are. And actually, so the other thing is, I would say to people when they say, have you decided yet? Have you decided where you want to live? Is because actually I started to, how do you put it? It's a little bit like an onion. All these layers of an onion kept coming off, and I started to think, do you know what? I never really wanted that anyway. I never wanted to live like that. I never wanted to dress like that. I never wanted to be like. There's so many things that I think it's never what I ever wanted anyway. So the kind of things that you think you want, i.e. move to Portugal, just get a nice detached house on the edge of a town with, a nice big garden to grow a bit of your own food and have a few chickens, maybe be semi-independent with some solar, but I don't know if you can hear that cat, but there is, if you can hear a cat, don't worry, the cat's not in trouble. There is a stray cat, as with many house sits in Portugal, there's the pet that you're officially house sitting for, but then there's the stray pet or two that you have to feed. And here there's a stray cat, and he kind of lives in the garage, and the door to the garage is open, and sometimes he just, have I fed him? Yeah, I have fed him. Yeah, sometimes he just meows strangely. Anyway, so where was I? Anyway, one of the things was about realising that, actually, so I've seen a couple of videos recently, quite a few videos, where this subject has come up, and I'm going to just run a few clips for you, and then they articulate it a lot better than what I do. Listen.
And it's called mature wanting versus immature wanting. So immature wanting is the wanting that comes from the influx of information from media, television, politicians, your parents, the education system. And so this immature wanting pulls us in different directions, but it rarely speaks to our soul. Now, what is the opposite? What is mature wanting? Mature wanting is when you can tap into what your soul truly desires.
Is this what I really want? Or is this because what my parents wanted for me? Or is this because what society expects? Or is this something I think I should do? I was even suggesting to someone the other day that, we need the American Dream 2.0, because to me, although it came about after the 50s for a very good reason, for what Bruce is talking about now, it's too materialistic. It's too much about what other people think of you. It's too much about you know, the sort of the right things to do.
It's that sort of thing. When I said about the how when I read that book and I thought, no, this is what I've always wanted. I used to, yeah, this is me. Is often when you talk about getting a small holding, especially if you live in somewhere like London and if you always live like in a big city with all the conveniences. I mean, live with a 24-hour superstore, you know, minutes walk away from me. Even when I was in Wales, I had a 24-hour superstore, you know, 10-minute walk away. And if I wanted to jump in the car, there was probably a couple of others within 10 minutes drive. But it's that kind of attitude. Oh, it's very romantic and the reality of it's a completely different thing. And, you know, people have the romantic notion and don't realise the reality. So it's all that sort of thing, you know. And you kind of let it influence you. And funny enough, next video, I'm going to be talking about an email, a message that I got that really annoyed me. So we'll talk about that on the next one. So again, it's about all that, you can't do this and you can't do that, and expectations from everywhere. Just expectations from everywhere, as those clips alluded to. So, yeah, so that was the other reason. Oh, fucking hell. So oh God, did I just swear? Sorry. So the long and the short of it is, I spend a lot of time on my own with nomading around. Two, you kind of like, it's not even that you got the time to think, but sometimes you're just in a different space and I don't know, but just I found myself thinking a lot, and then yeah, these layers of everything kind of started peeling off, and basically the long and the goddamn short of it, let's just get to the point, is that I started to have some realizations and started to think what I really want, or what I thought. What I really want was maybe just what I thought I want, and not necessarily what I really, really deeply desired. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I'll put the links to those videos that I put those clips to, because I'm not very good at getting across what's in this head of mine. So but yeah, I think some of you I just think get it straight away. I kind of you get it straight away. Some of you are going to think, for God's sake, what is she waffling on about? So did I give my reasons? So the reasons for moving here were outdoor lifestyle, the location and ease of getting to by plane or by plane or by boat, by plane or by driving, whether that's to and from the UK or to the rest of Europe, and simpler lifestyle with some self-sufficiency. And then the other thing is, see, I could have said all this probably in 2 sentences. And then the other thing is, why am I doing what I'm doing? And why 2 years later have I still not settled everywhere? That is because I was throwing off all the layers of everything that I've been bombarded with for 55 years, and finding out who the real me is and what the real me wants, which I kind of know, and you always know, but it's that expectations, what you should, what you must, what is expected from here, from there, from everywhere, means that I have been finding out what it is what I really want. And I know in my heart what it is. But if it's really practical, we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about that when I've found it. That would be interesting. Right, the third thing is in this video, many of you asked about house sitting and how I got into house sitting. I'm not going to go into all that again because I have done a video. I've done a couple of videos about house sitting, so I'll put the link. Well, one was a Q&A, you don't need that, but I'll put the link about house sitting in general. And yeah, so I'd done house sitting before, and when and I also explained in the last video how I was going to try Portugal as a country to begin with before I came here to see if I liked it through house sitting. So I'm not sure what you wanted to know from those questions, whether you wanted to know generally how you get into house sitting, which I have covered, or how I got into house sitting. So I'm not sure, but I have kind of covered it. I'll put some links to videos below so that you can see what I've covered before. But yeah, house sitting is basically just a great way to experience all different kinds. Finish your sentence. I had to experience all different kinds of houses. I have stayed in off-grid properties, modern, like this one, properties, villas, little cottages, stone cottages built into the side of a rock, apartments, townhouses, you know, big cities, Porto. I've not actually stayed in Lisbon, only in the Lisbon region, but not actually in Lisbon itself. Have I? No, Cascais is the closest I've got to Lisbon living. Yeah, cities, rural, seaside, everything, central, north. So, I mean, what a great way to get to know the different types of properties, the different areas. Not only that, obviously, the people that the people that I house sit for are also immigrants as well. Some are returners, maybe Portuguese originally and returners, but they are all have lived abroad and come back, or are foreigners as well. So I get to quiz them and ask about their experiences. So it is fantastic on all levels. And to be honest, even when I settle, I think I'm going to carry on house sitting, because that is kind of one of the reasons why I'm still doing what I'm doing, because I keep thinking I've had enough now of being on the road. I need my own place. And then a house sit comes up, or someone will ask me to do a house sit, and I think, oh, I'll just do one more. And then you go somewhere and you think, see, this location, this place is, you know, this location's great. I would never have discovered this or found this or experienced this if it wasn't for house sitting. And then the people are great. I meet some great people, and I think, see, I never would have met them if I was in one place and didn't say yes to the house sit. And then there's the pets. Oh my God, I've got so many little four-legged friends all over Portugal that are just adorable. And then I thought I wouldn't have got to meet them, and some of them are pure entertainment. So next video, we are on the same sort of subject as other people's influences, people telling you what to do and what not to do, and whether you put it on yourself because you feel what's expected of you, or other people put it onto you. We're going to talk about a message that annoyed me, and some of the emails and messages that I have received from you lovely people, yeah, on the same sort of lines of moving to a new country, deciding, finding out who you really are. We'll talk about that on the next one. So this video will be being posted either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So I would like to say Feliz Natal to you all. someone will probably tell me I've pronounced that completely wrong, but season's greetings to you. I hope you have a lovely day on the 25th of December, whatever you are doing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for listening. Right, I've got to go and edit this now, because what you're not going to see is where I think I swore and I just waffled on that even I could not make sense of what I was talking about. So well done for sticking around this far. God knows what this video is going to be like. These bloody visual lines. Oh, fuck's sake.